Alright, let's do this one more time. Say hello to our new overlord. All hail King Stephen. What? Oh, sorry. You didn't know about our new overlord, did you? Well, now you do. So now you must bow down before his royal cuteness. Muhaha, I think we're ready to start painting now. And once again, you have 5 minutes to vote on what you would like to see painted. This week's options are from a medieval bestiary, a battle between good and evil wizards, and the return of the big bad. Choose wisely, my little artist friends, because your choices determine the fate of the kingdom. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. We won. The power of the people has prevailed. Now, if you could all just take a moment to express your undying gratitude towards me by subscribing, liking this video, and commenting with a creative suggestion for a future episode, that would be lovely. Thank you so much. Now then, let's get started. First up, let's block out our valiant hero and his trusty steed. Now, I know what you're thinking. Where are their faces? Well, don't you worry your pretty little head about that. This is a close-up. So we gonna zoom right in on those faces? Right after we finish blocking out our brave knight and his unicorn? There we go. Now then, let's add in some nice bold outlines. Nice and thick, just like your mother's thighs. And let's fill in the hero's tunic with some bright, cheerful colors. Shall we? And let's make his hair a nice, luscious red, just like the devil fruit that he devoured in order to gain his powers. Powers he will use to defeat his enemies and save the day. Hooray! Now let's round out our knight with a belt, some simple chainmail, a leather apron, and a large white plume that contrasts nicely with his dark hair and bright red clothing. And now we shall move on to his faithful steed, whose coloring will be largely the same, but with some variations to make them distinct. And now it's time for the faces. Let's give our hero a determined expression as he charges into battle with a sword held high. And let's give his unicorn a sweet little smile, because why not? It's a happy day when your knight smiles at you while charging into battle. And now we're done. No more work for us today. Time to sit back and relax and enjoy the fruits of our labor. Ha 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 ha. I love this one. This one's gonna be a banger. What is happening? Why am I suddenly drenched in the blood of my enemies? I don't want to be a murderer. I just wanted to paint a picture. Is it wrong to want to kill everyone around you? Am I the monster? A wizard battles a demon in the forest. What? Oh, right. Of course I know about the wizarding war raging across the land. How could I be so blind? I mean, hey, you gotta focus on your art, you know? But still, there are some things more important than arts. Maybe I should have listened to Gandalf when he told me to choose a side. Damn, now I'm all out of mana, and I didn't even get to finish my masterpiece. Why does this always happen to me? Why do I always procrastinate? I knew I should have started painting sooner. But no, I waited until the very last minute and now everything is on fire. And I have to fight an army of orcs to survive. This isn't art. This is murder. There's no beauty left in this world. It's just ugliness and despair and suffering. There's no hope. There's no peace. There's only war and death. War and death. Death and war. Wait, hold on. I think I just got something in my eye. It's all fuzzy. I can't see. Everything's so blurry. Is that a shooting star? Did the prophecy come true? Did the chosen one finally arrive? Could it be? Are my eyes deceiving me? Or is that really him? The legendary hero of light? Come to vanquish the forces of darkness and restore balance to the world. I can still hear his voice echoing in my dreams. I can still feel his touch upon my skin. I can still taste his kiss upon my lips. Oh, my love. My sweet, beautiful hero of light. How I've missed you. How I've longed for your return. You are my destiny. You are my everything. And together we will rule the kingdom. Oh, yes. Together we will be unstoppable. No one will be able to stand against us. We will have the power of 1,000 suns.
I'm here in Egypt because a great story unfolds here. It's a story about the biggest thing that was never built. It's about an unfinished obelisk, a monument that was cut short. Imagine, if you will, the year is 2000 BC, and you are standing on the shore of the Nile in Egypt. Before you, a fleet of boats laden with granite are arriving from the south. These ships have sailed for weeks, battling the current, dodging rocks and fallen trees. They are bringing the largest stones ever assembled, enormous blocks of dolerite quarried in the desert south of Aswan. You watch as these blocks are dragged from the river. One by one, each one weighing more than 20 tons. Then they are dragged up a ramp and into a pit in the ground. It was meant to be a masterpiece, a soaring needle of granite reaching towards the sky, nearly 140 feet long. It would have dwarfed the Great Pyramid of Giza. It would have been 5 times taller than the next largest obelisk in Egypt. For 4 centuries, the Egyptians had perfected the art of making obelisks. Each was unique, bearing the royal seal of each pharaoh who commissioned it. Some remained standing, some were toppled, some lie abandoned, their surfaces worn smooth by weathering. But none capture the imagination like the Unfinished Obelisk. This is the story of that monument. We find it here in the village of Aswan, on the edge of a wound in the earth, halfway between a luxury resort and a busy market. To get here, you must pass through to checkpoints and then walk down a dirt road. At the end of that road, surrounded by date palms and wild fig trees, you find a quarry, and in the center of that quarry an obelisk. It is tilted at a 45-degree angle, sticking out of the ground like a broken tooth. Hammers, chisels, even a worker's bucket hangs suspended by a bit of string. It is the largest obelisk ever attempted, an ambitious project that was started in the reign of Ramesses II and left abandoned after only 186 feet were extracted. How did it crack? Nobody knows. But somewhere in the middle of its side is a dark fault line, an ancient map of some hidden force. Did the stone have a flaw? Was the fault in the extraction? We don't know. But whoever found it, whether artisan or engineer, didn't think it was worth finishing. So they left it exactly as it was, embedded in the earth, waiting for someone else to complete it. But nobody ever did. The monument was never raised. It rests where it was born, half emerged from the bedrock, as though the earth had begun to give birth to stone, and then stopped mid-breath, mid-intention, mid-history. You stand here and you realize this isn't a tomb. This is a quarry. The air is alive with the buzz of flies and the hum of cicadas. In the distance, the call to prayer echoes across the valley. The wind shifts and you smell the sweet decay of nearby fig trees. You can almost feel the vibration of human energy, the pulse of labor. What makes this site so mysterious isn't just its scale, it's also the intimacy of the experience. You see the tool marks left by the artisans, the grooves carved by tired hands, the abandoned buckets, the half-chiseled hollows. It's a moment frozen in time, a monument not completed, but paused forever in the process of becoming. You aren't looking at artifacts in a museum, you are where they worked. You are among the dust and the silence and the weight of what might have been. It's a rare look at ancient labor without the polish of success, a glimpse into the process of creation before the patina of history. It's an unfinished obelisk, but in a strange way, it is also a complete experience. Now we turn from stone left unfinished to death, prepared with exquisite care. Imagine cool chambers below the desert floor, the air thick with the scent of incense and old magic. Walls painted with pigments that even after thousands of years are still bright, still beautiful. Not for us, you might think, but for them. For the great pharaohs and nobles of ancient Egypt, death was not an ending, but a beginning. Continuation, a homecoming. So they made it a celebration. They crafted this world with such care that it became a place not just for the dead, but for the journey beyond. This is how the greatest tombs in the world were made. It began, as so many things did in Egypt, with a plan. A noble's tomb wasn't merely a place to rest, it was a gallery for eternity. Every surface, ceiling, wall, column, sarcophagus, was inscribed, painted, sculpted with images and words that would guide the dead on their journey and remind the living of their greatness. The ceilings were painted with the constellations, so the dead would know the time, even in the underworld. The walls were filled with images from the life they'd lived. Farming, feasting, fishing, hunting, the gentle rhythm of a life well lived and worth repeating forever. These scenes were not random. Each brushstroke, each sculptor's mark had meaning. Fishing in the marshes meant rebirth. The lotus blossoms symbolized awakening. Servants painted smaller, bowing with trays of bread and beer, assured that the owner would never hunger in the world beyond. Even the coffin itself was a work of art. It was made of nested layers, each one painted with spells and symbols designed to protect the body and guide the soul. Some coffins were shaped like boats, others like giant lotus blossoms. The sides of the coffins were painted with eyes so the dead could see even in death. Anopic jars, where the organs were lovingly placed, were sculpted with the faces of protective gods. And inside the coffin, beneath the layers of linen, the embalmer would tuck amulets beside the heart. Small sculptures of gods and goddesses meant to ward off evil spirits and ensure safe passage. In the richest tombs, the wrappings themselves were perfumed. The smell of cinnamon and cedar meant to mask the smell of death and decay. And then came the Book of the Dead, a collection of spells, instructions, passwords for navigating the treacherous terrain of the underworld. It was the manual for the journey beyond, a guidebook for a realm where even the slightest mistake could mean damnation. Holding the book was an honor reserved for priests. Its pages were filled with instructions on how to pass through judgment, how to prove your heart was pure, how to live forever. You were to pass through judgment, weighed against the feather of truth. If you spoke the right words, if your heart was light, if you brought beauty to endings, you would live again. The tomb was not simply a monument, it was a machine for resurrection. So the pharaohs and nobles of Egypt, the kings and queens who ruled the land of the living, they poured their resources, their time, their belief into making their deaths sublime. To us it may seem distant, even strange. But in those dim chambers, lit only by the flickering flame of an oil lamp or the cold light of distant stars, you can feel the deep human need to be remembered, to bring beauty to endings, to hope, even in silence. For thousands of years, people have been drawn to the mysteries of the pyramids and the tombs of the Egyptian elite. What secrets do they hold? What wonders will we find next? Join us as we uncover more stories of discovery. The sands settle, the stone quiets. The torches dim behind painted walls. You have walked the paths of laborers and kings, felt the sun on your back as you hauled stone, listened to the strange prayers of a forgotten pharaoh, stood beside a broken monument, and traced your fingers along tomb walls where death wore the colors of art. Egypt, for all its grandeur, was a place of effort, belief, and contradiction. Civilization of endless toil and timeless beauty, of suffering beneath the sun and comfort beneath the earth, of gods who ruled the sky and men who tried to join them. And yet in all its scale, Egypt was human. Its greatness rose from calloused hands, uncertain choices, and a longing, always, for something more. Of all the places you have been, the people you have known, the lives you have lived, and all the stories you have heard, none perhaps can match the sweep and majesty of ancient Egypt, a civilization that spanned millennia, leaving monuments to dead pharaohs and a legacy that outlived their pyramids. For over 2,000 years, their influence shaped the world. Their innovations echoed across the ages. Yet somehow, they remain an enigma. Here among these silent stones, you find echoes of a vanished way of life. What was it like to live when the Nile was king and the pharaohs dreamed of becoming gods? Imagine yourself here, not as a tourist, but a visitor in time, walking among those who walked before you. What might you have learned about yourself? What would you see? Procession winding through the temple, bearing gifts to the gods. The pharaoh riding on a golden boat across the sacred lake, his face hidden behind a sun-shaped mask. Common folk going about their daily business, buying fish from a market stall, or bartering for pottery at a roadside stand. Or perhaps you would witness the building of a pyramid, watching as laborers hauled stones into place, their shouts and laughter echoing across the desert. What would you hear? The call to prayer echoing from the temple, summoning the faithful to worship the gods. The rumble of a funeral procession, carrying a pharaoh's body to its final resting place. The murmur of a scribe carefully copying a papyrus, his reed pen scratching out the words of a forgotten tale. Or perhaps you would hear the splash of oars on the water as a royal barge glides along the Nile, its passengers laughing and drinking as they go. What might you learn about yourself? How do the grand monuments and humble dwellings alike fade with time? How do rulers become forgotten, their names erased from history? And how does one people shape the world around them, only to have their influence wane with the generations? By wandering among the ruins of ancient Egypt, you are reminded of the fleeting nature of power and the enduring nature of life itself. As you continue your journey through time, you come across a group of travelers from the future who have stumbled upon this archaeological site. They are awestruck by the pyramids and the other ancient monuments, but they seem confused by the hieroglyphics and the other ancient artifacts. Realizing that they don't understand the language or the culture, you feel a sense of responsibility to educate them about this ancient civilization. You start by explaining the history of the pyramids and the other monuments, as well as the culture and beliefs of the ancient Egyptians. You also try to teach them the basics of reading hieroglyphics, so that they can start to understand the carvings and paintings that decorate the tombs and temples. As the group continues its exploration of the site, you point out other interesting details such as the astronomical alignments of some of the monuments and the use of symbolism in the artwork. One of the travelers asks you why the ancient Egyptians believed that they could become gods. You explain that they believed that the pharaohs were divine rulers who had been chosen by the gods to lead their people. You also talk about the Egyptian pantheon of gods and goddesses and the importance of the afterlife in their religion. Another traveler asks you about the daily life of the ancient Egyptians. You describe the social hierarchy, the various occupations, and the role of the Nile River in their society. You also share stories about the pharaohs and their families, as well as the many myths and legends that have survived to this day. As the sun begins to set, you and the group make your way back to the entrance of the site. The travelers thank you for your knowledge and ask if there's anything they can do to help preserve this ancient civilization. You tell them that simply spreading awareness and appreciation for ancient Egypt is a great start. You say goodbye to the travelers, knowing that you have made a small difference in their understanding of this amazing part of history. And as you stand there watching them leave, you realize that your journey through time has come to an end. It's time to say goodbye to ancient Egypt and return to your own time. But you know that you will never forget your experiences here, and that the knowledge and memories you have gained will stay with you forever.